And I just would love to hear your insight from working with so many girls and just talking to so many people about all of these things. What is one thing that you want every parent to know?
Especially when it comes to friendships, they're watching the way that you're being a friend to your friends too. So you may not realize like the phone call you're making with the friend, like if you're talking about your other friends in your group, like they hear more than you think. I always say, especially with girls with body image, like as I love my mother, she's amazing, but I still look at when I hear her talk about her body, I don't think about her body, I think about mine. I think about I get insecure, and it's not at all anything she means to do, but it's just like people they hear that and they're going to reflect that in their own heart. So I'd encourage the way that your friends, if they see you show up for your friends, if they see you celebrate them when they get something you don't have, if they see you love them well, they're going to want to be that same friend in return. Like you're going to teach them by doing it.
Let's try, and not to like show my kids like, look what I'm doing. But I always try, like when I am like making somebody a meal or get them a gift or write them a card, I always like try to point it out to my kids, just to be like, hey, this is how we love people. Like if they're sick or they just had a baby or they're going through a hard time or they just are really busy and life is chaotic, we can bring them a meal and we can show them love. And we can, like call them up, check in on them, just see how they're doing, all these things. I have a friend who lost her husband a year ago. And every Sunday I get a reminder on my phone to text her just to make sure I'm checking in case I hadn't that week. And my kids asked me about it. And I'm like, I just want to make sure I'm the best friend that I can be to her right now. And if that means I have to remind myself to do it, then I have to remind myself. So now they see the reminder and they're like, oh, hey, did you text her this week yet? Have you called her? Aww. And it's so important to model this. So I love that you bring that up because modeling is the most important thing we do as parents.
And I think you think it might be selfish probably as a parent you think your whole life is now supposed to be your kids, I'm sure. Like that's a battle. Or your kids' friendships, focusing on being their social calendar. But remember that your social calendar is important too, because they're watching you prioritize that. And that means prioritizing your friendships and that social need that God has given each of us. And so don't feel guilty for doing that. And I love what you said. They're watching the way, you care for people that's the scripture. How are you caring for the widows, the orphans, and the poor in your area? Like they're watching how you care for your friends and they're going through a hard season. I still write thank you cards because my mom would write thank you cards and she would put that in my brain. And I laugh because my boyfriend's so amazing. He comes from a great family, but we were at his friend's house who owned a house in South Florida. So we got to have this beach weekend. I'm like, we need to go get them a gift. Like, and he's like, what? I never thought about that. I'm like, no, they just let us stay at this nice house. And they're like, this is nice. He goes, that was so cool to do. And it's been a while. His mom totally does that stuff all the time. But it's interesting how you see it, it wakes you up. You're like, you don't have the idea until you see someone else do it.
Yeah, totally. And we get to be the first examples of that as parents, which is
so cool.
Amazing. Yeah, it's a gift.